Raider Nation, what's going on? It's Mitchell Renz, your host of the Raiders Report. And coming up on today's show, we're going to be talking about the three moves that the Raiders made after the 2024 NFL Draft. They signed Michael Gallup. They signed Jaylen Guyton. They also signed Andrus Peat. This week, Monday, was Guyton and Peat. Gallup was last week. What we're going to be doing is I'm going to be breaking down grades for each signing. So a lot of times this is a segment that I like to do after free agency, after the draft, and you look at the players that you drafted, that you signed in free agency. I'm going to kind of do that own spin only with these three players here. On top of that, I'm also going to talk about the biggest winners and losers because the signing of Gallup, it impacts current Raiders players. The signing of Jaylen Guyton, it impacts current Raiders players. The signing of Andrus Peat, it impacts current Raiders players. So that's all coming up here on today's show. I'm also going to tell you, out of these three names, which one I like the most. If you want to join Raider Nation, hey, man, hit that subscribe button. If you're a real one for life, spam RO4L down below, and make sure that you got those notifications turned on. People that I know for a fact are part of the real ones. People that I know for a fact are part of the Noti gang. These are people that I know are always watching the stuff, and when breaking news happens, they're sitting here, they're tuning in, they're watching. Because here's the thing, if you don't know that the Raiders signed those three players, it's probably because you're not subscribed to the Raiders Report. So take a second and make sure you click that sub button. So the way that we're going to do this is we're going to go in order. I'm going to start with Gallup, then I'm going to go with Guyton, and then we're going to go with Peat here. If you don't know, the Raiders, they ended up signing Michael Gallup on April 29th. He had a visit same day that Jalen Guyton did also last week. The Raiders just made Gallup a little bit higher that priority. I said it before when the Silver and Black did ink the former Cowboy receiver that this deal being worth up to $3 million tells me that there weren't a lot of other NFL teams interested in Gallup. And one of the things that, Chug said during our live show on Tuesday, like, if you're signing players at this point after free agency, after the draft, I mean, let's be real. It's kind of like being at that bar at 1:45. You hear Jeremy starting to sing closing time, and you're looking around. You're like, I can't go home alone. So then you go out, you sign a guy like Michael Gallup, who, according to a Cowboy source close to us here, basically he's told us that, he's essentially just playing on one leg. And he's suffered a lot of different injuries, and it's a shame because before the injury, he was a little bit more of a vertical threat. He could run a lot more complete route tree. Now his routes being able to come back to the QB, definitely not a very strong suit for Gallup. But what's interesting is where exactly he is going to fit. Yes, he is the wide receiver 3 on this offense, but he's not the third target in terms of receivers, if that makes sense. Brock Bowers is going to get more work than Michael Gallup, but I don't think Gallup's going to get more work than Jacoby Myers. He's definitely not going to get more work than Devontae Adams. And quite frankly, what you're hoping here is which receiver out of the 4 that are pictured Gallup needs to be that fourth guy in overall targets. Again, he still needs to be able to stay healthy, and at 6'1", 200 pounds, one of the things that Antonio Pierce was looking for is, I think they were looking for a certain mold of receiver because Gallup and Guyton are both field stretchers or at one point field stretchers, both at 6'1", both are around 210, 200 pounds overall, and definitely past their prime a little bit. But with this move here, to me, the winners and losers that popped up into my head were these. The reason why I have Michael Mayer and Brock Bowers as winners is because by adding Gallup, that kind of makes me believe that that's going to be the other top receiver, and I still believe that Mayer and Bowers end up getting more targets than a player like Gallup. Number 1 is Gardner Minshew and Aidan O'Connell, whoever ends up being that starting quarterback, because you're just getting more depth there at the receiver position. The losers are all wide receivers. This is more of just DJ Turner. I don't think he's going to make the roster now. Christian Wilkerson, definitely not going to make the roster now. And Trey Tucker, he is a vertical threat. I still think that he's going to have a bigger impact on special teams, but by going out and signing Gallup, it absolutely positively impacts Tucker's ability to get on the field just a little bit more. So when the Raiders signed Gallup to a deal worth up to $3 million, I am telling you now that I am going to give this a B- grade. If he could stay healthy, it's going to be a good addition, but I've also said on this show before that a surprise cut candidate can also be Gallup, because if you're looking at a dude who just simply can't stay on the field, can't stay healthy, if I'm Las Vegas, I'm going to end up keeping somebody else that I know for a fact, because what the Raiders need at receiver is depth. Very, very important. They know they got Devontae. They know they got Jacoby. They know that they have Brock Bowers, Michael Mayer. What they need is guys that they can rely on for depth. And if they don't believe that that's Michael Gallup, then I don't know if he's going to end up making this roster. So out of the 3 names that you see right here, and this is going to be the pinned comment on today's show, which means you're about to get hit with a YouTube ad break. I want you to scroll on down. Let me know. Out of the 3 names, Gallup, Jaylen Guyton, Andrus Peat, who is the best signing? Please let me know down below. This is usually the part of the show that I tell you exactly what I'm thinking, but guess what? I'm going to make you watch just a little bit longer. I got a grade coming up here for Guyton. I got a grade coming up here for Pete, and whichever I give the highest grade to, there you go. That's the signing that I end up liking the most. All right, so next thing that we got coming up here is we're going to be breaking down Jaylen Guyton, but before I do, Mother's Day, y'all, right around the corner, it's Sunday. Did you not know? If you didn't know, well, now you need to know. We got mom's jerseys, mom's t-shirts, we got tumblers, we got coffee holders. There are hundreds of different items. Also, there are certain items that are on sale. I don't know which ones exactly. You have to click on the link to find out. But if you go to chatsports.com/RaiderMom, you're going to be able to find some Raiders Mother Day gift items. Don't get me wrong. You should also get mom some flowers. Maybe get her a bottle of wine or something like that. Or if you got that little Raiderette in your life, hey, don't be afraid to get her something special as well. Show her some love. I know Chuck doesn't know what he's going to get Alex yet, but I have a feeling he's going to probably be getting her some flowers and maybe a nice... Chuck said go to Raider MILF, though. I don't know if Alex can technically be a Raider MILF. She is a dog mom. That's true. Chatsports.com/RaiderMilf is also available to anybody out there daring enough to go ahead and click on that link. All right, let's talk about Jaylen Guyton now, a player that another dude who, another receiver, bit of a field stretcher. He ended up signing with the Silver and Black on May 6th. He's played with the Chargers and Telesco since 2017, and he's been a member of the AFC West for a very, very long time. And at one point was a reliable receiver for Justin Herbert, especially in that vertical passing attack. But he has tore his ACL in 2022. He had a groin injury last season, which has really hampered his ability to stay on the field. And a lot of times when you have that major knee injury at the ACL, it leads to some of those other lingering issues. Groin, hamstrings, you see them start to pop up here left and right. But one of the things that I think the Raiders did with Telesco and AP is they're like, all right, we're going to look for a field stretcher. What's the key word this offseason? They're also looking for a lot of competition. And Jaylen Guyton and Michael Gallup are going to be battling to be able to find out which one of those receivers can be that wide receiver 3 behind Jacoby, behind Devontae. Like, I am still, like I said, putting Brock Bowers in this slot role. But, like, if you could have Guyton, and he's the faster receiver than Gallup right now, though Gallup's still probably a little bit better at those 50-50 balls, and it might just come down to who can run a more complete route tree when it's all said and done. In terms of the Guyton signing winners and losers, I'm going to keep the winners the exact same for all the exact same reasons that I said when I was talking about Gallup. For the loser side, I do think it changes a little bit simply because DJ Turner is going to stay at number 2. I do think Christian Wilkerson is a loser, but a lot of those UDFA wide receivers, maybe like a Tulu Griffin trying to make this roster. I mean, think about it. Telesco already has a connection with Guyton, and if you were a UDFA receiver and you saw somebody like Guyton come in here, and if he's able to stay healthy, the chances of you making this roster probably went down just a little bit. My grade, though, for when the Raiders made this deal, I still don't have the contract details. My projection was somewhere around 1 year, $2 million is kind of how I would look at it. If he's able to stay healthy, though, I'm going to give this a C grade. It is a average move. Like, from who's the better receiver, Michael Gallup is the better receiver. But I also know that teams like connections. Teams know that, all right, if I got 17 UDFAs, I got 8 rookies, and I got a brand new team, I'm trying to learn a lot about some of these new guys. That if you already know one of your other dudes and he can kind of be like that player coach to help mold of what Telesco is looking for some of these younger players, that could be a reason why he maybe hangs around and is also on the practice squad. Coming up next here on the show, though, I got some thoughts on what the Raiders did when they signed offensive lineman Andrus Peat, former New Orleans Saints, former first-round pick. I know he's battled a ton of injuries, and maybe that's kind of the common theme with these 3 players. If they're able to stay healthy, they're going to be good players. If they're not able to stay healthy, well then, hey, maybe they at least added a little bit of competition and a fire underneath somebody's butt. I do got to give a shout-out, though, to the Noti gang. Sergio, Charles, Eddie, Ren X, shout-out to y'all for taking time out of your day, trying to be one of the very first people to comment on our videos here at the Raiders Report. So for those that don't know, Andrus Peat, He was also signed on May 6th. Chugs and I broke it all down. He has played left tackle. He's played left guard for the Saints last season. 12 starts in total, 16 total games, I believe. Missed 18 games over the past 3 seasons and has never played a full season since he was a rookie, which I believe is going all the way back to 2015. So a lot of games there. He's also missed 28 games the past 5 seasons. And if you're looking for that versatility, that's what the Raiders are essentially doing here with Andrus Peat. I know it's right when the Raiders signed him, I was like, oh man, what does this mean for Thayer Munford? Considering the fact, though, that Peat has only played 78 snaps on the right side of his entire career, makes me wonder, like, a guy that's battling injuries, brand new team, brand new offensive line coach, why am I going to kick him over to the right side? So I actually don't really think that this signing is going to impact Thayer Munford's ability to start at right tackle. Not saying it's not going to impact him at all, but to me now, I'm looking at more the left side of the offensive line than I am the right side of the line. Like, who is this going to impact? Anybody that you see all over there on the left. I will admit, if I'm Thayer Munford, this definitely is going to light a fire underneath my butt, because I'm like, well, not only did the Raiders go out and sign Andrus Peat, somebody who does have a lot of starts underneath his belt, who is a veteran, you also drafted Delmar Glaze. So in terms of the biggest winners and losers from this signing here, to me, the 2 biggest winners, again, Gardner, AOC. I'm also going to throw in Zamir White because he is a better run blocker than he is a pass blocker. And because I'm saying that, on top of that, if Colt Miller were to go down, God forbid, I hope that it doesn't happen, Peat would be the next guy to slot in there at left tackle, and because maybe he's not as strong at pass blocking as he is run blocking, you could see Alexander Madison get a few extra reps since he's one of the better pass blocking running backs in the league. Munford, because, again, it's extra depth, extra competition. Jalen McKenzie might have thought for a second that he was going to make this roster. Not any longer if Peat could stay healthy. And then Jordan Meredith, I do see the Raiders with Cody Whitehair, with Andrus Peat, and their ability to also play guard. That might kick Jordan Meredith out of making the 53-man roster. So the highest grade that I gave out, B+ here to Andrus Peat. I think it's just the best move that the Raiders ended up making. And I don't know what it's going to materialize in, but what I do know is if your quarterbacks are Gardner Minshew, Aidan O'Connell, you need to assure that you have a good offensive line. That also means assuring that you have a good, reliable backup offensive line. So if that means Pete's got to play left tackle or if he's got to play left guard, cool. That also gives you more versatility to potentially kick a guy like, I don't know, Cody Whitehair into center. It just gives you a lot more flexibility, and he's an older player on a pretty young roster overall on that O-line. So it's a B+ grade for me. So one more time here. Here are the 3 signings that the Raiders made. Michael Gallup, Jaylen Guyton, Andrus Peat. And in conclusion, I know that the Raiders were trying to trade up for Jaden Daniels. And realistically, the only thing that people can knock on Telesco NAP right now for the offseason that they are having is their inability to find that upgrade at the quarterback spot. So what did Telesco and AP do? They go, hey, and they would probably say it to you. They'd probably look you dead in the eyes and say, yeah, we were trying to get a QB. We missed on that. So what can we do now? We believe in building in the trenches, and now they are showing you that they are trying to do their best to build around AOC, to build around Gardner Minshew, and they've been doing it since they missed on the quarterbacks in the draft. Brock Bowers, Jackson Power Johnson, Delmar Glaze. First 3 picks. Now, first 3 moves outside of the draft, Michael Gallup, Jaylen Guyton, Andrus Peat. All players that are going to help the quarterback situation here for the Silver and Black.